Hello, good evening, everyone. I extend you all a very warm welcome to the seventh webinar series, which is an educational initiative jointly undertaken by Phillip Capital and BSC with the sole objective of sharing knowledge and market insights for everyone connected to global markets. This webinar series is designed to get market experts, academicians, treasury professionals to share their perspectives on the markets and try to help and benefit all the market participants with their valuable insights. So it is indeed a pleasure to welcome all of you and thank you so much for taking your time out to be present in this webinar. My name is Vishaka and I am a part of the FX advisory desk at Phillip Capital. Phillip Capital is established in Singapore in 1975. We are one of the Asia's leading financial institutions with a global reach extending in 15 countries. Our assets under management worldwide are more than $35 billion and we have over 1 million clients worldwide. So at this onset, I would like to thank Mr. Vijay Krishnamurthy and Ms. Lakshmi Iyer for sparing their valuable time and for consenting to be part of this webinar series to share their valuable market insights. I would like to invite Mr. Vijay sir, who is the head of fixed income at BSC, to share his part of the speech. Thank you. Over to you, Vijay sir.
Uh, Thank you very much, Vishaka, and it's really a pleasure to be associated with Phillip Capital in this, webinar series, which is a knowledge sharing initiative. Really, thank you for having me on this session. Thank you so much, and it's always a pleasure to sharing the stage with Lakshmi. We've been known each other for a very long time, so it's a great pleasure to do that as well. Uh, So, going straight away into the topic, which is like rising government yields and its impact on the forex market. To me, over the last year and a half has been where the interest rates have really been benign. Due to various reasons, and I know most of these reasons are very well known to globally as well as to the participants in the debt capital markets, wherein given the pandemic or maybe the kind of borrowing that the government is coming up with or has had last year, the interest rates have been benign, and RBI has done really well, to say so, to ensure that there has also been enough liquidity within the market, and the interest rates have been maintained at a very low level. Also to give the necessary fillip and the boost to the economy, so that there's an increased spending and other things which happen. So till the end of January, everything was fine. The interest rates were low, but I guess with the announcement of budget, there was a sudden spike, wherein the interest rates on the 10-year GSEC, which is considered the benchmark, shot up from the about 590s to to really raise his head and really zoom past 615, 620 and whereabouts. Of course, not the only reason why it shot up was because government said that they would have an additional borrowing program, or the borrowing program remains the same as last year, which is about 12 lakh crores or 12 trillion or so. But there were other global factors that really led to the spike in the interest rates. One of the leading factors were the spike in the U.S. Treasury yields, which had its impact or effect on the Indian bond markets, on the Indian bond yields as well. The rising crude oil prices was another factor because of which we saw some of the spikes in the yields. In the Indian markets, and but somewhere it was clear that RBI really didn't want to let the interest rates really rise up, because from the fact that there were a couple of devolvements of the auctions that really happened, because the demand was for higher yields, but of course RBI did not consider some of those bids, and but however, what helped was again the cancellation of the last auction for the month of March, because of excess collection on the taxation side. So that gave a little bit of boost to the market. And this week, I guess there has been a significant flip that's again got to the yields on the market, which has again pushed it downwards lower and closer to 6%, if I'm not wrong. Yesterday it was about 603. I guess today it was close to 6 is what I read. That's because although, and as promised by RBI, what they have really done is they have a big borrowing program, and as usual, they have front loaded it in the first half. So to meet their borrowing program, they have, as promised, RBI has also ensured that they would get enough liquidity and other measures in the market so that the borrowing program goes through very comfortably. And RBI came out with a GSAP program, which is a government securities um, uh, uh, purchase. Okay, so they came up with this GSEC purchase program, which will be about in the first quarter to the tune of 1 trillion, and that really pushed the yields down, and I'm sure that will really help. Maybe at least in the short term, keep the yields at not very low levels, but at least at these levels between maintain it closer to the 6% levels, or maybe between 590 and 6 levels. The other part of the aspect is how does it really impact the forex or the foreign exchange rates per se. So there are various factors which really leads to the exchange rates or the volatility or so-called the movement in the exchange rate. But one of them definitely is the inflation and the please excuse me. One of them certainly is the inflation and the interest rates. Because with the rise of interest rates, what really happens is, and in case there is significantly low interest rates in markets abroad, so we will definitely see a lot of money coming in into the Indian markets to take advantage of the higher interest rates. So that definitely will, with increased interest rates, I think so that will definitely have some kind of an impact on the exchange. If at all the interest rates are allowed to rise by RBI, we will definitely see some kind of an moment on that front as well. Excuse me, very sorry. All right. So this is this is broadly what I believe would be the interest rate scenario going forward, given that the borrowing programs or the government needs to go through. They would try and maintain it within a range bound yield, so that the borrowings can very easily go through. I also just wanted to add a bit on the products which are really available on BSE for really using that as an exchange platform to do your debt. Since we are really talking about the Government of India securities, the retail participants, as well as the other pension funds, provident funds, corporates, can really participate in the Government of India auctions as well through the non-competitive bidding programs of the RBI, which are available through the exchanges. We have an app which is called as a BSE Direct, wherein you can really come and register yourself, log in, and directly bid for some of these securities which are auctioned by the Government of India, including state development loans and treasury bills. Apart from this, the exchange also offers products on the interest rate derivatives, which is your IRFs and IROs, that can be really used as a tool to hedge your interest rate volatilities and interest rate risk. So definitely that's a tool that can be really used, and it's available on BSE as a platform. And to speak about BSE has been always in the forefront of the technological innovations. And as everybody would really know, we are one of the fastest exchanges in the world with a response time of less than 6 microseconds. And of course, there have been several firsts to our name with the launch of weekly contracts on the currency derivatives, weekly contracts and equity derivatives with expires on every Friday, or for that matter, negative pricing on the negative pricing in Brent crude, and several other on the commodity market side. So we do wish Phillip Capital all the best, and any other queries regarding on the debt or the products of BSE on the debt side, you may feel free to reach out to us. I now hand it over back to Vishakha. Thank you so much, Vishakha, for your time.
Thank you so much, sir. So I would now like to invite Lakshmi Madam to share the part of her speech for the topic. So, Lakshmi Madam is the President and Chief Investment Officer, Debt and Head Products at Kotak Mahindra Asset Management Company. She has been with the organization for over 20 years. Joining in and at 1999 as a fund manager, Lakshmi Madam was responsible for credit research, deal execution, managing fund performance across all debt funds, and assisting sales in client interaction. In addition to that, she has been a portfolio specialist and managed product related initiatives such as product pricing and coordination with the funds management and sales team in that role. Prior to joining Kotak, Madam had worked with Credence Analytics Private Limited as a research analyst, where she was tracking corporate bond markets in India and generating research reports. She was also instrumental in conceiving various financial software tools in collaboration with software and technical teams. Thank you. Over to you, ma'am.
Thanks, Vishaka. Vishaka, can you enable screen sharing, please?
Yeah, sure, I'll do that. Yes, ma'am, I've done.
All right. So, hi, very good evening to each one of you. Firstly, I hope all of you are absolutely safe and secure in your respective homes, offices, wherever you are. These are indeed, I would say, trying times. But yeah, it's important to keep the faith and keep going the way we are. I just thought I'll take you through a few slides because every time I think it's been now 12 months of work from home, and barring the phase where Reserve Bank of India was cutting rates, the only query which I used to get asked is fixed income stories over here. Debt kab hoga. You know, these are the kind of questions that I've been asked consistently. And if you look at this slide kind of captures the thought or the mood pretty well. Have the rates bottomed out? You know, you actually saw one phase where you had almost, and this is an 80-year history chart that we've taken, which shows you this is the US 10-year, just to show you that you had 40 years of high interest rates and then followed by 40 years of low interest rates, falling interest rates rather, and we are right now again plagued with the same question. But if you look back home, and I think that is what is very relevant from our standpoint, what is going to be the driver? You know, if you go to Allahabad, there is a Triveni Sangam. There is a confluence of three rivers that come together and they meet at that point. It's a very holy spot where a lot of pilgrims really throng across the country or across the world. And no, I'm not giving any philosophical gyan or spiritual gyan, but I'm trying to say that the confluence of liquidity, inflation, and the rate sentiment is going to be the guiding or the governing factor. And in that, if you see, the overnight rates are pretty comfortable. Even today, as we speak, we have a 5 lakh crore liquidity in the banking system. If you look at the 7th April policy, Reserve Bank of India has done nothing to disturb the Apple cart. So every time there is a tussle between Reserve Bank of India and markets, it is literally like that, that song in that Rocky movie, "Aa dekhiye zara kisme kitna hai dum." Every time RBI actually comes back and shows their dum and saying that, you know what, right now I'm prevailing and probably I'll let markets prevail after some time. So I think this chart really articulates the stance on the liquidity front, where we are not expecting any negative surprises, despite the fact that we have seen announcement of VRRR, which is variable rate reverse repo, where RBI saying that every day the banking system is coming and giving me money. Instead of taking it every day, let me take it for a longer period. On 8th of Jan, they announced it for a period of 14 days. They stopped it for the last week of March because of year end, and they've again started that. They may continue to do longer term, which is 91 day or 100 day, but I think that time will tell. The next confluence in that Triveni Sangam is the interest, is the inflation. Again, here, no marks for guessing. Nothing is looking so very ominous that will, blow it off the top. Look at gold prices, look at crude prices. Crude prices, yes, momentum break, etc. And of course, you guys at Phillip Capital also do commodity business for your clients, so you must be tracking these prices quite regularly. But if you see, crude is, from a fundamental demand perspective, there's nothing really to jack it up quite materially. And look at gold prices, which is our second biggest import item. That also is on its way down or is consolidated. So that leads us to believe that inflation also is going to remain fairly comfortable. No negative surprises there. But as I said, markets being markets, you are at a time, equity markets are in a phase where everything, a language spoken in a different word, Shakespeare spoke in a manner, and you and me will speak in a different manner. But everything and anything is leading to markets relating itself upward. The exact contra is happening in fixed income. Anything and everything negative, which has been repeated time over time, is actually leading to a downward spiral, and that's what is showing you that you have sentiments getting spooked. Um, Equity, you all are tracking. You see, year to date, we are net positive on the total flows, but in terms of fixed income, the net number continues to be negative. As we speak right now, the number is still a negative. 20,000 crores from the FPI perspective, which again is not a very happy news. But can this bring in some cheer if you look at the inclusion in the bond index, where we are talking about this even a small allocation of 1% can mean some demand levers being activated. Today, the demand levers for government bonds are very, very lacking, which is why, Vijay also alluded to when he spoke. You saw the Reserve Bank of India announce something known as GSAP. Now, GSAP is nothing but Government Security Acquisition Program, wherein they will come to the market. So for April, May, June, that is this quarter, they have announced 1 lakh crore worth of GSAP, of which 25,000 crores will be bought on 15th of April. They've already given a list of securities. So again, this is RBI's version of, the Shah Rukh Khan version of RBI saying "Main hoon na," where they are standing pat to, buy bonds, insinuating or a probable market outrage just because the supply is pretty mammoth. So I think that GSAP, according to me, is the biggest Brahmastra. This, as and when it happens over time, that will obviously be positive, and that is the reason we believe that apart from OMOs, the GSAP, so the troika or the combo of open market bond purchase, Operation Twist, and GSAP, a combination of these three will give you the long-term comfort and commitment that RBI is there to support the bond yields. So therefore, every time equity market participants and many of my friends in the equity fraternity will keep asking, because ultimately the dhadkan of the equity market is getting completely paid by looking at the halchal in the bond market. So every time the yields go up, the first thing people ask here, iska equity pe kya impact padega, which is very logical and very, very natural. I will not talk about state loan spreads, etc. I will directly move into. So, bottom line is, I think on the fixed income side, we're not really worried. You look at it from any perspective. I can keep going on and on with slides, but the intent was not to show you any of these slides. But the key crux of those 2, 3 key macro variables which India is tracking, and which leads us to believe that. Markets are usually right, no doubt about it, but markets can be excessively exuberant also. So this is one such time where the markets are demonstrating excessive exuberance. You look at it from any perspective, okay? The yield curve is at its steepest ever. Look at overnight rate, which is the reverse repo rate, which is right now at 3.35, and a 10-year bond, a 10-year, say, a government, a PSU bond, it's quoting at 7%. 10-year GSEC is quoting at 6%, but 10-year, a good quality high grade PSU is quoting at 7%. Now look at 3.35, look at 7%, look at the gap. So I think these are, that is what I mean by steepness of the yield curve. Now, these are very, very important factors which one cannot ignore. And courtesy, the GSAP plus the long tenor VRRR or VRRR as we call it, will ensure that this gap will start compressing. So even for corporates which are seeking to access money from the capital market, interest rates may not crash land for them, but certainly there could be better times ahead. Plus, the Reserve Bank of India has also continued the TLTRO. If you recall, at the peak of April to June 2020 crisis, the RBI announced something known as TLTRO, Targeted Long-Term Repo Operations, which is aimed at corporate bonds. So the continuation, which is giving support to all these corporate bonds. So I think continuity of that is leading us to believe that you can see some of these spreads coming down further, which is why we are talking about strategies like credit. If you like, if your investors like to buy, you want to buy bonds directly, you can buy these bonds. But I think I am, convinced quite meaningfully that the Reserve Bank of India or the government's, I would say, assumptions on the revenue side during the budget has been pretty, I would say, tepid or pretty conservative, whereas the entire, expenditure side is as is where is. So we have seen a consistent buoyancy in the GST numbers. We will see divestment. Of course, divestment, the year has just begun, but things don't look as bad. And if you get guided by global numbers, you are seeing a lot of uptick or momentum as far as the IPOs are concerned. I did, I think today. I don't know if it's in my broadcast list or I put it out as a tweet, where you are seeing quite a bit of, the Q1 for the US was the highest pickup in the IPO activity. So something like these happen. Definitely, these are positive telltale signs for India as well to pull through this revenue side pressure, which obviously is quite daunting in a COVID scenario. And lastly, on the currency, now, rising interest rates putting pressure on currency. The two in fact, it's the reverse. Usually, what happens is when the interest rates tend to rise, it is usually considered favorable from a currency standpoint, because you have anchor as far as the rates are concerned. But it's a function of how abrupt or knee-jerk you see a rise in interest rates vis-a-vis a more graded rise in interest rates. So at this juncture, just coming fresh out of the policy 48 hours back, I'm led to believe that we are not going to see any dramatic spike in interest rates for now. The currency has behaved itself exceedingly well for FY 2021. We were up 3.5% versus the dollar. I think in FY22, if I say tale of two halves, if I break it up into two halves, it looks like there could be some small volatile movements for the currency. There could be probably a scenario where we could end up net negative. But I think the most important thing to keep in mind is that we have shock absorbers. And those shock absorbers are actually the foreign exchange reserves, which are at all-time high of $580 billion. And that will give a lot of anchor or ammunition to the Reserve Bank of India to act if they have to, really protect in the rupee. So I'm not concerned about a massive rout on the currency front. You can expect range-driven movements, very tight ranges, both on the interest rate side and on the currency side. It is too premature, to call wolf and expect that RBI is going to hike interest rates tomorrow. It is a very, very premature thought, especially after RBI guiding you towards an accommodative bias and moving in from a time-based guidance to a state-based guidance. That also tells you that they have been mindful of the pandemic. So literally in this, as I mentioned, I started off saying that there have been rocky times in the bond markets, no doubt, but I think the might and the strength of the central banker will prevail. They have lent their balance sheets to the bond markets, but they have ensured that they don't lose their overall balance. So that's it. These are my initial thoughts. I will pause here. I'm happy to take on any queries.
Thank you so much, ma'am. I would request all the participants, they can write their questions in the chat box and we can take them up. So, ma'am, can we take this question? What is the view of interest rate in long term?
The long term, we are all dead. Jokes apart, but I would say we are at the beginning of 2021 calendar year or start of the financial year, looks like between the two rates, there are two levers that RBI can tweak. Usually they move in tandem, reverse repo and repo. But the repo rates are the benchmark rate, so they are the signaling factor. The reverse repo rate actually keep getting aligned to the repo rate. But this time on, probably what RBI can do in its pursuit of normalization, they could actually start reducing the gap between the reverse repo and the repo, which means they could actually hike the reverse repo, not right now, maybe with a lag of a quarter or so, and that could be possible in the coming months ahead. I would say more realistically after the second quarter. That seems to be most possible scenario. We are not hopeful of any rate hike on the repo front, at least this year, or at least till the time we get reasonable clarity as far as the pandemic is concerned. There are localized lockdowns. It is not a pan-India lockdown, but it will have pockets of impact on potential discretionary spending. So again, this long weekend, we are at home. Most of us are at home. All the restaurant visit, etc., has come to a stop. So it will certainly feed in some pockets in some way. So all that is something which the central banker will have to take note of before they take any meaningful step towards hiking interest rates. So I will rule it out for right now. Yes, normalization of reverse repo, because they want to normalize liquidity, could be on the cards post June. Will it fall below 4%, Sujal? No, I don't have a view. If you're talking about the 10-year benchmark, I don't know what you're referring to, but I don't think so. If you're talking about the repo rate, which is right now at, I don't know what you're talking about. The repo rate is at 4%. I don't see a case for a repo rate cut. If at all, the next action could be a rate hike, but again, not immediately or not in this year. I would assign a low chance for that. View on USD INR for the next 3 months. That is the next query. As I said, Hitesh, my sense is that we have already seen a very spectacular innings as far as the INR batting as a batsman is concerned. So my sense is that that could continue with probable, some small speed breakers. And when I say speed breakers, a momentary depreciating bias, because the dollar is gaining strength, given that the other currencies are displaying some weakness. Even the yen, if you see, after moving multiple big figures on the lower side, or on the appreciation, has now started taking a backseat. So that can weigh in on Asian currencies. It could weigh in on India as well. But apart from that, I see the dollar rupee trade in a very tight range. Very high end ranges of appreciation or depreciation is going to be completely ruled out. There is one question on, is it a good time to invest in debt funds? So Vinay, it's always a good time to invest in debt funds. And I'm not saying this because I'm managing monies on the fixed income side. I'm saying this because if you stick to your asset allocation, even if you are extremely high risk investor having 90% of your portfolio in equities, even for you a 10% allocation is most certainly recommended. And to plan that out, you have to keep in mind your own risk appetite. I would say fixed income is like all seasons, like they say no Bata as an all seasons footwear. So it is like an all season strategy where you have a fixed income strategy to suit any occasion. So rising interest rate, yes, you have. Flat interest rates, yes, you have. And falling interest rates, you definitely have. Likewise, there is a category to suit your risk appetite. You say you're a one-day investor, we have a product for you. You say you're a 10-year investor, we have a strategy for you. You say you're a 10-week investor, also there's a strategy for you. So I think I have no doubts in my mind that one needs to continue to stay put. Depending on the investment scenario or the interest rate scenario right now, which I think is a stable, aided by comfortable liquidity, the short duration funds with some bit of complementing strategies to mix portfolio. When I say mix, I'm talking about AAA, non-AAA, could be something that you could consider on your platter. The current program is named QSAP. Yeah, it's named as GSAP. It's not US would have called it QSAP, which means there could be another version later. Absolutely. What is your version? Okay, so Amit, my view is this GSAP is, yes, it is version 1.0, which means RBI himself made a statement in the press conference that 1.0 means we will be there in the next version. So it could be 1, 2, 3, 4. We don't know the quantum, but yes. If the initial guidance of RBI is anything to be taken by, they kept saying that we will have at least 3 lakh crore of OMO this year. I don't know how much they would want to convert it into a GSAP if that's what gives comfort to the markets. So reasonable to assume that at least a lakh crore of quarterly GSAP or the GSEC acquisition programs could happen. We've already seen the first announcement, which is for the April, May, June. My sense is we could have similar numbers in the coming quarter. That could be a total amount of approximately 4 lakh crores. It could be even lower, but right now, as I said, till the market stabilizes, which it hasn't, it's okay to have this kind of a quantum. Where do you see the benchmark rate going forward? I see it in a range of 6 to 6.25. At the current juncture, looking at the 10-year benchmark is actually like looking at Nifty, where 3 stocks move and 47 stocks don't move. It is something similar, to that. But yes, the benchmark is something which the world is tracking. So yes, the benchmark, to my mind, the current benchmark, it will be very difficult for it to sustain meaningfully below 6% unless RBI continues to be very aggressive with GSAP and OMO. Right now, it is only GSAP. As and when OMO comes, we get better clarity. What is the possibility of, what is this? What is the possibility of turn tantrum? You mean taper tantrum coming up as COVID is coming? So Dinesh, taper tantrums are something which markets have been continuously alluding to, and every time markets allude to that, the central banker comes and brushes it off. So I would say I am not keeping that as a base assumption for now. And if at all it has to happen, the central bankers across the globe can give enough and more time to the markets to probably readjust itself, because something like that will be detrimental not only to fixed income but also all asset classes, including equities and gold. So that certainly is not a very palatable situation for world over. I think, Vishaka, all the queries in the chat window, if I see correctly.
Yeah, I think we have covered all the questions. So I think we can conclude this session. So, ma'am, thank you very much. This was very comprehensive discussion covering all the aspects of the subject. And I'm sure that all the participants would be taking along with them immense amount of knowledge and experience obtained from your discussion. And I thank you once again, and also Mr. Vijay Krishnamurthy and all the participants to joining the webinar. And for any queries, you can further contact us. Our coordinates are there on the screen. Thank you so much, ma'am.
Thank you. Take care, and all of you stay safe. Bye. See you.
Bye.